Podrick and Brienne are one of my favorite pairings in A Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones, because they are two characters who are after two things. They're trying to find someone who they feel like will be able to restore their honor, and secondly, they are trying to get closer to their idea of knighthood. And while being on missions to achieve these ends, they're doing so as very, very young characters. Because you need to remember that in the book series, we do not have Pod the Rod and Mommy over here. We have 12-year-old Pod and 19-year-old Brienne. They are literally children. They are children who have been forced to grow up in this crazy world far too fast and are still somehow, despite their youth, still trying to do what they perceive to be the right thing. When we meet Brienne, she is 19 and she is full of this urge to prove herself. And not only that, prove herself to the people that matter to her. In her case, Renly Baratheon, the one person who had ever been kind to her in life. Brienne was so used to the cruelty of men that when someone, in this case Renly, showed her just like the most basic form of kindness, it left such a strong impression on her that she wanted to embrace knighthood, but specifically under Renly. She wanted to use this newfound sense of honor that she was developing to serve Renly because she thought that that would serve the realm and also, kind of repay the little bit of kindness that he had paid her. Podrick lost most of his family when he was very, very young. His father died, I believe, during the Greyjoy Rebellion, and then his mother ran off with a singer or something, leaving him essentially an orphan. Pod was then passed to a knight who was like a distant family member. That knight would eventually pass. He would get passed on to another knight in service of the Lannisters. That knight would pass, I think he stole food. And so this kid keeps getting shuffled around over and over again. And every time he does, he's just trying his best. He's trying to be a squire. He's trying to be like a good kid who one day dreams of being a knight. And then eventually he gets paired with Tyrion, and Tyrion becomes kind of like a very stable force in his life, ironically. That is, of course, until Tyrion gets accused of the whole Joffrey unaliving and eventually has to escape so that he doesn't, lose his head. And this is where we get the difference between the TV show and the books in what happens to Pod. So Pod in the TV show gets sent off with Brienne because, like, hey, you're going to need some help and this will be like a good pairing. But in the books, that doesn't happen. Pod stays with Tyrion up until Tyrion disappears, and then afterwards, Pod sets out on his own to try to find Tyrion. That's right, 12-year-old Podrick, the littlest boy who ever was, who can barely speak, decides, I am going to go off in the wilderness on my own and start trying to track my lost master. Not master, the guy he's squiring for. And so because he had heard that Brienne was asking about Sansa, he goes, hey, if she's looking for Sansa, she'll probably find Tyrion, because poor Podrick assumes that Tyrion and Sansa are probably off somewhere together. And so Podrick starts tracking Brienne, going, hey, she's my way to finding Tyrion just because he's so loyal. Meanwhile, Brienne is out there tracking the Stark girls, even though Catelyn Stark is no longer with us. This is post-Red Wedding, but because she is honor-bound, because she feels like she didn't get to keep this promise that she needs to somehow, fulfill, she is still looking. And so eventually she catches this pipsqueak trying to follow her and goes, okay, fine, you can stick around. And like this comment says, Pod and Brienne in the book give me take your little brother with you vibes. And that is truly it. Remember, when they are so freaking young in this book series and they're on such a adult mission, but they are both just trying their best because they want to make it up to the people that mattered in their life. Both of them want to be knights, and both of them are dealing with the personal struggles that inhibit them becoming it. Podrick lacks the skill, he lacks the confidence to be able to embrace this knighthood because he's still like a little kid. He still has a lot to learn, even though up until this point he has proven himself again and again. He is the only reason that Tyrion survives the end of Clash of Kings at the Battle of the Blackwater, because it's Podrick who pushes the knight into the river, who is trying to take out Tyrion. Then on the inverse, Brienne is having to deal with all of these issues with sexism and these men in the realm who, despite her skill, despite her clear commitment to honor and keeping her word, they do not value her. They do not value what she is bringing to the table, and they are dismissive of her. And so continually she has to prove that she is a force to be reckoned with, that she's not going to be dissuaded just because someone doesn't believe in her, and she persists over and over again. And that's what makes her, a great example of knighthood, despite the fact that no one considers her a knight. There's also, the whole being knighted thing, whatever. And the bond that they form, because they are on such similar missions, becomes such a core part of both of their journeys, and also the terrifying part in the impending tragedy that we see at the very end of Feast for Crows. Obviously, it's like spoilers if you haven't gotten spoilers by now. But at the end of Feast for Crows, these two get captured by Lady Stoneheart, the resurrected Catelyn Stark, who is not in her right mind. And because Brienne is wielding a Lannister blade after getting Jaime to King's Landing, and Lady Stoneheart assumes that Brienne is, not on the Stark side anymore, she's like switched to the Lannister side, she threatens to unalive the two of them. So we get to the famous scene that people have lots of questions about at the end of Feast for Crows, where Podrick, they're all being, hung in nooses, and Podrick starts to, not breathe anymore, and then at the very end of the chapter, it says the Brienne shouts a word, and then it cuts to black, basically. Later, in the next book, we see that Brienne comes to get Jaime, so we know that she somehow survived and is now luring Jaime away into the Riverlands. So what happened there? Well, for anyone who's curious and wants to type in the comments, be like, what do you think the word was? Something I found out today is apparently George just told a group of people a decade ago. This is a thing, but not everyone knows because it's technically not in canon. He just told a crowd and someone wrote it down. But according to this thing from I think 2012, when someone asked hey, what did Brienne say at the very end of that chapter that seemingly saved her life? Well, George said that the word, someone guessed it, I should say. Someone guessed it, and the guess was that the word was sword. And George said that that is correct. The word was sword. But what does that mean? Well, in the context of the chapter, Brienne was given the option of noose or sword. The meaning being noose if you do not want to go after Jaime Lannister, because that's what Lady Stoneheart was asking of her. You get the noose. Or if you want to take your sword, you can go take your sword and go get him and bring him back here so that we can deal with him. And so apparently Brienne, as she is looking at Pod and seeing that he is slowly having the life drained out of him, she relents. And even though she had tried to stick to her guns and be I'm not going to hurt Jaime, she screams sword because she wants it to stop, and probably saves Podrick's life over here. So yeah, fun fact that I learned today. Again, it's technically not canon because it's not in a book yet, but George apparently told it to people, so But yeah, I love their relationship. You tell me, what other pairings do you like in the series? Please drop them down in the comments. I will talk about another one of them. Y'all are really cool. Hope you have a good night. Bye.